So a very good evening, dear participants. Thank you for joining in for yet another episode on HR Speak. We'll just give it another minute for anyone else who will be joining in. And I'm very sure many more people are going to log in some time. You are tuning in to Season 5, Episode 7 of HR Speak. And our topic for today is future of work and workplace. Okay, it's 4 o'clock sharp. And without a second of deferment into the 1 hour that we will spend in today's learning, I would request you all to tune in for today's topic, which is future of work and workplace with Dr. Ujjal Bhattacharjee. He's HR Director, India and Southeast Asia, Foseco India Limited, which is a division of the Vesuvius Group. Dr. Ujjal has 22 years of rich experience in the areas like competency-based HR practices, leadership development, organizational change management, talent management, and industrial relations. He has completed his Bachelor of Science in Chemistry Honors, Masters in Personal Management, PhD in Management, Global Advanced Management Program from ISB Kellogg, Northwestern University, Diploma in Training and Development, Diploma in Labor Laws and Welfare, Strategic Management from JMAM, Japan. He's also done in his Powder Metallurgy Leadership Program, graduated in USA. He has been certified by T3, Cambridge, UK, and 360-degree feedback and facilitation, FED coach with UK, certified in MBTI, PI, Thomas Profile, and DDI Hong Kong as Targeted Selection Administrator. Dr. Ujjal has earlier worked with JKN Group, UK, and Fresenius Kabi, India. He has also served as a board of member in global corporations. He has published several papers in reputed management journals and has been a keynote speaker at several business schools in leadership forums. So it's so good to have you, sir. There is a lot of enriching thoughts, a lot of enlightenment which we can go through as a group with you. There is so much of knowledge that we have with us today in terms of what we could do first time right, which probably has been experimented over the years and has been established as a process in organization. So we have a first-hand documentation in today's HR Speak as to how do we get those things first time right, which probably we struggle with and we try to fail fast and improve and then get better. So that is how I look at today's topic, which is future of work and workplace. I would request the audience to relate to whatever we speak about today to your own workspace and see how you can implement the discussions of today in your way of working in the organization. You can also write into our chapter coordinator if you have any questions, which are very, very specific outside the time we will spend in the Q&A session for today. It's a very interesting topic. The previous topic that we had was more about the ecosystem of a workplace and how creating super teams is one of the ways in which we integrate technology with people, with different stakeholder levels at the internal and external organizational employees coming together and serving for a higher purpose. And to serve that higher purpose, then we saw that how do we develop the competencies of the organization people? And how do we take it to the next level and create those super teams more effectively towards the productivity of the organization? So we discussed the strategy, we discussed the talent and management interventions that create people for productivity-oriented work towards the strategy. And today's piece is about future of work and workplace, which is what is for us in the next 3 to 5 years. And if that is for us in the next 3 to 5 years, then how is it that we need to shape up? And what are the things that we need to strategize by learning the best practices that we have from Dr. Ujjal Bhattacharya? Sir, thank you for your presence for today's session. And I'm really honored that I'm interacting with you. First of all, let me say that. And of course, each one of us is looking forward to learning in this 1 hour that we have for you. So without any delay, first of all, anything that I've missed in your introduction, please add on to whatever I have introduced with. I'm sure there's more to it.
No, I think thank you very much for this invitation. I think it's I feel that it's a mutual learning, and we keep on learning. And today, I think I think you introduced very well. Thank you very much. Word, yeah. And I think today we are going to deliberate on this very important subject, which is a complete, talking about the future and how it is shaping up in a disruptive situation, what we see currently, and with these geopolitical developments around the world, what is going on, and what are the new facets emerging in the organization, as well as the what human resource need to act on. So looking forward for a good discussion on this.
That's right. So you said, what are the challenges at the organization level? So at any organization, OD intervention planning, or even for strategizing HR strategies of an organization, it's very important to first understand what is the challenge statement of the organization. So let us start there. What, according to you, are those organization challenges that are emerging for future of work and workforce?
Yeah, see, basically, what's going on, as I mentioned, that we are currently experiencing India as a country. I come from macro to micro level. We are in a very good situation at this moment, I must say that. And when I say good situation, it is in terms of the business, in terms of our growth prospect about as a nation. And also when we talk about that, it is a great recognition for the human resources and talent. Whole world is looking at us. So what is happening because of that? There are a lot of the actions are happening because of that, in order to really satisfy this need. What we are seeing currently, that the talent is in very high demand, because whole world is actually setting up their business, acquiring business, and trying to see that what they can create. There's a huge amount of shared services. The setups are coming up in India, looking India as the best destination at this moment, most favorable nation for doing business, as well as also from a talent perspective, talent mobility perspective. Indian talent. Somebody was talking to me other day that getting visa. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and from in one of the European country, and saying that getting talent, they're looking for talent from India, and saying that getting talent from India is not a problem. Visa will be very fast, and we will be able to really bring people here in Europe very fast. So today, because of that kind of talent demand, so this is one thing is very very prominent, that the talent is in high demand, and good talent is also in super high demand. Okay. So what's happening? So as an organization, the challenges in front of us, what I see personally, that we have to rethink that what kind of employee value propositions we need to actually offer. The number one topic. Why I say that? Because today, when we do an analysis and diagnosis of what's going on, we see that conventionally, compensation, benefits, all those training, development, and other things are there in most of the organization. When little deeper studies of attrition analysis, etc., is done, it's coming out in many places, in many research as well, that employees are not looking at only these things. They are asking for something more. So what is that more? Some of the things like they're looking for career, they're looking for career growth, they're looking for how they can improve their skill, reskilling themselves. Uh, they probably want more inclusive approach, and this is more even post pandemic. We are seeing these kind of trends are getting set. They want more fair treatment, more and more trust, a clear purpose in the job. What they are doing, they should have some meaning, and absolutely a super supportive culture. And that's why organizations are gearing up to respond to that. So only the surface level topics are not going to really keep your base talent in the organization. But we need to dig down a little bit and see that we are able to address these kind of issues. The other areas, which is the re-engaging the workforce, because that has become a big challenge now, because post pandemic we see the engagement facets are changing very heavily. People, the way some of the things worked today, it is not working. uh, Attracting and retaining talent, yeah, it is also becoming a big challenge, and I think that will become a matter of concern for many organizations, and uh, policies and practices and organizational philosophies has to be developed around that. Relationship management is becoming very vital, and why so? We'll touch upon later on some of the other elaboration of these issues or the challenges. Because post pandemic we see that most of the companies have gone into a very disconnected mode, hybrid mode, connected of course digitally, but not, there is a very less human connect, and the relationship is absolutely experience a big dent during this period of time. So that's one challenge. So how to really overcome that issue, and how the talent mobility is, the concern of talent mobility and the skill building is also becoming very important. And I think the another aspect which is becoming more and more, uh, of course, a challenge for, especially I belong to manufacturing, the sector, and mostly I worked in this sector, and I think in this sector we need to do a lot in terms of gender diversity and diversity as a whole, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think that is becoming more and more a big area to work on, and challenges for those organizations, those who are working towards it. They are not there, they have just started, and they need to really catch up with that kind of a balancing situation. Managing uncertainty, I see constantly that is a challenge, because such a volatile and disruptive environment, the organization and its all those support function has to be absolutely agile, and that is a challenge, that how you need to cope up very quickly with very fast speed and agility to really understand, gauge, and really come up with solutions to deal with these kind of uncertainties. And of course, the most important is the employee health and well-being, because we have seen that how the pandemic has taught us some of these things little differently during this time. More and more, because of this nature of work is changing, the health well-being is becoming a very important factor for determining the engagement level with the organization, that how organizations are taking care of these aspects. So I feel these are some of these some of the challenges is in front of us.
Correct. So if these are the challenges at organization level, how do we enable people, considering anything else is a commodity, whether it's the product the organization is selling, whether it is the process that is being put to place. Even processes can be copied and implemented in better ways, and that doesn't remain as a competitive advantage. So considering that, it's the workforce and people who become the differentiating factor from organization and from the angle of success. So if that is the case, how do we enable workforce?
Yeah, so again, beginning with you are absolutely correct. It is all about people, and we are discussing that because the rest of the things are definitely important. Today, when we look at human resources, the manpower, first of all, availability has become a big issue, as we talked about. Getting employable talent is very difficult. Talent, when you hire, you find that they are most of the time having multiple offers in their hand, not joining the companies. Uh, we are seeing so many new dimensions, and it's completely a very different scenario in terms of the technology space, because we also have shared services in terms of technology, and I'm experiencing some kind of a very disruptive approach. People asking for more than 100% increase, etc., which is very unheard of in manufacturing. People like us, where we discuss about 15, 20, 30% is more something we cannot, beyond that we even cannot imagine, and that is the kind of a reality. So even that is what is happening today. So it is just I want this kind of a compensation, and we need to just you need to, if you want to have me, you have to pay that. Now the how we have to deal with is that we have to create that sort of a good talent pipeline, inject a lot of people, do a very strong, robust manpower planning based on the business strategy. Of course, the strategy is very dynamic because you don't know next year. When you talked about 3 to 5 years, what is happening? Today, even next year,
Is
how
long term.
things will change. It's very, very difficult because
True,
when we
true.
work on strategy, currently as in an organization, we
So
are.
believe me, sir, from the management studies point of view, I had written, next decade. And then I immediately thought that how can next decade even be a question? It has to be something very short term.
Yeah, because the nature is completely different, and we are learning every day, and we have to. That's why your all these sensing organs has to be very, very absolutely agile, just to
Correct.
sense, come back, look at your organization, which organization you are actually operating in, which sector you are operating in, and you need to quickly unlearn and relearn. When somebody asked me 150% of salary increase, I actually called up my one of my very close friend heading one of the topmost IT company in India. I said, "Is this okay?" Because to me it looks very weird, demand. He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, welcome. The address is welcome to my world." Okay, so because in manufacturing and all, we do not experience such kind of discussions. Actually, we find that this is very, very disproportionate discussion, actually an expectation at the time of joining. You cannot imagine that. So these kind of changes are happening, and you have to accept it. So I accepted this because I think that the change is the name of the game, and if you do not change, change will change you. Okay, so absolutely. So otherwise, we have to quickly learn that how to deal with it. So we have to have a very good talent pool pipeline in order to meet with these kind of things. We have to have a very good incubation process, talent incubation development, and that's what we do. And also try out gig workers and temps, and yeah, do a very strong succession and planning so that you have some backups, because you don't know what's happening when. And also open up the channels, informal channels, social media, referrals, so that you constantly get in people over there. Secondly, as I told, that employee value proposition, one of the research actually done, and I have also carried out a little bit of a inventory of the reason people leave. On a surface level, people, while during exit, people all talk about salary and some other, hygiene topic, or sometime they talk about certain grievances, or they may not. But as a HR professionals, we need to go below the carpet and try to see that what is actually the triggering factors. And the triggering factors are actually when you have a little bit of a better accessibility about somebody's thinking process, or you have a real good trust with someone. And when those people speak, they speak something different. And the inventory, and we have to find out that actual the main issue, and not the surface level topics. And that is what people talk about, that I feel I am stuck here in this company. I have no career. I cannot grow further. Yeah. And I also need to see my employability. So how am I being developed by this organization, so that I am constantly employable? Because tomorrow you don't know if this skill gets tomorrow abundant, and it is becoming obsolete. Then what I am going to do? I should have some kind of an additional lateral certain skill, so that I can move into something else. And things becoming so uncertain, every day we are seeing something or the other going on in terms of the job restructuring and their associated actions. So this is very important. How the leaders are inspiring them, how the leaders are motivating and encouraging, taking interest in their development and career, and their, of course, their well-being. The work-life balance is a very, very important factor. Work-life balance appears to be, oh yeah, it's okay, fine, we should do it. Many people feel about that. It's a good to do kind of a thing, but it is a deciding factor for many people to leave the organization. And that's why and today we see, I personally see that in most of the, when I discuss with people, and I see when within the organization some of the time, that this is becoming a very important determinant factor for working for an organization or not. People are declining offer, a very good offer, very good salary, just because working day. We have heard that 4 days working experiment going on, etc. In India, in a very junior level position, this is an eye opener actually, that somebody declining an offer, saying that you have a 6 days working, and I got a job which is 5 day working, even the salary is less, I'm joining there. It's not a senior job, it is a very base junior level job, executive level job. So these kind of thinking processes are coming in our, the millennials. Currently their thinking is like that. So we have to quickly think about this kind of a change, is to discuss with our leadership team, that is this kind of signals we are getting from the talent from the market. So this is one important area to deal with it. And I think sooner the better the companies wake up and act on this as quick as possible. We don't know what next coming up. Secondly, the engagement of people. We have all traditional methods of engagement, but I think today we have to go a little beyond and see that how are we connecting with people beyond a certain program, certain fun, frolic, etc. How we actually connect with each other, connect. We have to revisit our good old time human practices, where we talk about human relation, human connect. I have seen in good old days that people used to have a colony concept, and people used to stay in a colony earlier days, many places, and there people used to stay like a family. They used to just get connected to each other. So those kind of engagement concept need to be brought in, where people feel that I cannot leave this organization because of a very nice a company I have, very nice people I have, I can trust on each other. Okay, maybe I will leave and go to some other organization, but I may not get this kind of a culture, this kind of a the my colleagues, my relations with others, best friend at work. So those kind of things I'll miss. So the organization need to see that these are the things which can be whether inculcated and deployed. That there is a human touch. Yeah, so that is what I have seen in good old days, and I think that is some of the things which we have to revisit and pick up from those basket which has been kept and become a bit rusty. All those kind of things we felt okay, it may not work in today's digital world, but I think this is becoming more and more important, and this touch, because things are becoming so much mechanical at this moment. These kind of things gives a good human touch to people. Um, of course, attraction of talent is very important, and why people join you? They join you because of your culture and how you really in this kind of work for talent, literally work for talent going on currently, and it is going to continue for next at least 1 decade minimum. That is the forecast. Here, I can confirm you that it is not 3 to 5, but more than 10 years, because this is what the business is getting forecasted for India. Okay, the way things are happening, it is not a temporary solution. Is coming. There is a huge investments are coming in, and it is going to be a permanent. In this scenario, the attraction of talent, those company will be able to really attract the right people, have a good ecosystem inside. They people feel they're valued, they're respected, they have a learning opportunity, they have a growth opportunity. Uh, Especially the global corporations are also becoming very alert about this situation. They some of the good practices are the global career opportunities are getting open for these good talents around the world. So they're not restricting within this within the country, but going outside and utilize your capability. So people see a career within their business, within the geographic setup of their business, and also outside that. Um, Secondly, the brand of the organization, the brand equity. And what is that brand equity? Brand equity talk about the fairness of the organization, the diversity and equity, and how it is inclusive, and what kind of value proposition we already talked about. People see all those things and they join. How much you are connected to the nature for the environment. What are you doing today? There's a research happened, and in that people talked about the youngsters, they want to join a company which is socially agile company. If you That's why sometimes people say why the social work we have to do. The CSR is just like governments. There is a guideline, and we have to just spend certain amount of money of our profit on CSR, but it is beyond that. CSR, that is one side of it. The second part of it is a real connect. People, when the talent see the company is also not only within but outside, it is reaching out and creating a sort of a goodwill. The confidence is more on those companies. So anywhere in website, if you see of any company, that is what you can see. More and more companies are putting up those things, engaging people, giving them some kind of a opportunity to work. Some people by design, by passion, they do this. Sometime you have to take some of the people and then give them the test of it. When they work, they see the issues and the problems, and the concerns people have, those who have less to do with, and then people get connected, and that message goes loud and clear. I have seen that is a very important driver actually, or enabler to really attract people and tell that we are good organization, and we have the right values. um, Again, the managers, etc., which I told already, that they have to play a great role, because it is finally not HR, but the line managers has to really hook to this people and ensure that everybody is well touched upon, their issues are heard, and this is and addressed on time. And I think the experience of employee experience part is very important. That what the best experience we are giving to employees. in the organization. So I think these are certain important aspects. And the last one, which is a big one, is of course there is a big disruption happening on the digital front. That how things are changing today in terms of the disruption happening and that advancement coming in artificial intelligence. All of us we know that, and it has a big impact. And we have to think still a lot to learn, lot to explore around that. And many things are happening around us. We have just jumped into it. We still need to explore. Example, the hybrid working. Hybrid working is today a big challenge because we have we need to very honestly admit that very less we know about the side effects of it or the benefits of it. That what is this actually creating? Some of the research many of you must be knowing that it is eroding the collaboration and teamwork. The human connect is reducing, and I think that is how much is important. What policies are there around to ensure that it is working well? So these are the things which organizations has to work on in order to really, make sure that even we have a hybrid, which has to, which will stay. I think most of the people today is agreeing on that after a lot of debate of last 1 year and discussions around various forums, etc. I don't know how many forums I actually discussed with so many dignitaries on this topic. But today I see that still there is a lot of areas which is really unanswered and need to be explored. That what are how this need to be managed well. So I think this is some of the challenges I see that which is there in front of us today.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, obviously, when it's people, it has to happen through connect. And people is a lot of ethos, pathos, and logos. And so, considering this, if we now shift gears and move on to the hybrid other side, which is the digital dimension, then what is the story or what is there for us to look forward to from the HR lens?
Right. So I think we are talking on the digitalization, the industry 4.0, or even before pandemic, and many organization has embarked on that. Uh, many companies adopted industry 4.0 related automation, the connected supply chain, the activity driven shop floors, various kind of things. The shop floor, the things works on its own. uh, I was also a part of these kind of a team, a global team, and I experienced that it's absolutely necessary that we need to really do how much the quantum and the uh, need to be seen properly. It cannot be horizontally deployed. What I see it in Germany, I cannot just deploy those things here. If it is working in some other's company, whether I should be adopting that or not, that's the first question. We have to adequately, as a business organization, need to see that what we are implementing and why we are implementing and how it is helping us. When it is all about quality, when it is about safety, your lot of automation and digitalizations are important. Because in I work for automotive industry, and there are a lot of safety critical parts we have in the vehicle. There, automation is very, very important because you cannot even accept a single error, because that is very serious. So you have to give 100% safety. When somebody buying your car, the person should feel that I'm completely safe. And I can assure you, the automotive companies, because we are tier one suppliers, they take utmost care about that. So technology is very heavily used over there. Now, with these changes of the technological or digital revolution, HR is definitely all the time in order to reskilling people, uh, implementing those changes. Like when we talk about activity-driven shop floor, those who are from a technical background sitting here will know this, that a shop floor interact with each other, machine interact with the other machine. It is that level of automation and technology, implementation. Like your raw material will start interacting with your machine, and it will know what is happening, your stocks, your inventory, everything will speak to each other through an all connected process. Your supply chain will know what is your inventory available, what are the stocks you have. Everything is completely fully connected, fully automated. So what HR does in this kind of a situation? When I speak to my counterparts in those plants where we have done some kind of a prototype experiments, um, they have to play a quite a good amount of role, because people by and large were not eliminated so much, but it is the work which has been reorganized. So you have to reorganize, you have to train people, you have to give a special kind of a technical training. You have to use people into more value added thinking and technological advancement work, rather than maybe you can eliminate some of the mundane work or some kind of a physical work, but still people are there in terms of your technology, in terms of running those processes, deploying those technology, etc. Coming to that, so that means those training, development, reskilling, everything is in place. So we have to be very agile in terms of working there. So nobody need to have a fear that when you have a technological revolution, you will have a problem. Today, when we see there's a lot of things happening in terms of AI related development, in a lot of development happening in the on AI related chats. Yeah, those kind of a tool. The digital tools are coming up. What's happening there? So it is actually helping in many ways. It is very effective, efficient. It is giving you the availability. Yeah, you can experience immediately the impact of it. What's happening? Uh, Whatever it is doing. Yes, it's a very effective so far. People talk about, but there are some loopholes. The language is sometimes an issue. The human touch is a problem, because you talk to a machine, and all the thinkings are programmed. Basically, it is a database thinking, because it's a sequential thinking. You all understand. So certain things are sequential, certain thematic, and it all comes in as a response. So it's very structured, and some of the times you have some kind of a standard answer, and may not have some kind of a answer which is maybe appropriate to that. And of course, because of this, but it is very effective at this moment. That is what people are talking about, these kind of AI based tools. And what it is going to today, people are speculating that it is probably going to impact certain jobs, and maybe some job will be lost. That is what the discussion going on. Still, it is too early to comment on that, the deployment of that. It appears that yeah, it is very useful tool, but up to which extent? My personal belief is that it cannot replace the human thinking, the human touch, and our mind, because this still requires a human understanding, driving it, using it effectively, this particular tool. And I think this technology, we will see probably, and how this develops, how it actually integrates into the job in organizations, and how the utilization takes place. And I will suggest that the platform like NHRD maybe can form a study group to really understand, and probably certain deliberations we can do later when we have more information and understanding, that what is the impact it is going to create in the employment, whether it is going to create any panic in people, whether people should be panicked first of all or not. And I think we have to do some kind of study. And if such things can be initiated, I think that will be a good, inputs for the HR fraternity to get inside of it, what's going on. And I think that's what I will suggest.
Thank you so much for that, sir. So we will open up the chat box for comments, questions, specific. So while we got a very strategic angle to how things will evolve in future from the perspective of the human connect, human touch, and the digital dimension, it's important for you to now think how you would want to relate it to your space of work, your sector, your organization, your role, and you can put that question on the chat box. Meanwhile, sir, I have a question that if people is the human connect angle to future of work and workforce, and if digital dimension is the future, in that case, what is the sweet spot between the two? How do we blend in the two in different dimensions of work, whether it's HR, whether it's business, whether it's process or learning and development?
See, basically, we have to use it very judiciously. That is technology, if I understood your question. Judiciously used, as I said, adequate utilization will be very important. Assessment of it. It is, as I mentioned, that it should not be used because somebody else is using or somebody else is applying. We need to see whether there is a value to it, there is a cost and benefit to my organization or not. Example, some of the robotics and automation in a European environment, it is very, very helpful because where there is a shortage of manpower, there is a very expensive manpower. If I look at as a businessman, if I look at my business and I see that whether I should do that or not, end-to-end automation of my furnaces, example, I don't think I need to do that. I need to do a very semi-automation, but I don't need to do the full automation, which is damn expensive to even invest and manage. And I do not want to really eliminate the human resources which is available in our country. We have to be also careful about the employment. Our objective should not be only money making, but at the end of the day, we have to think about the people and employability as well. So we need to see when we have a human resource, do we need it? Whether we need to give an employment to people, we have to see. But of course, we will not compromise. As I mentioned, if you have a pressing need where you see there is a competitive advantage, with these kind of things need to be applied. And where it is not, we should be not eliminating, just not blindly accept the things because it is available and we just pick it up and then implement. It might reduce, there are certain practices might reduce the shareholders' value. There are certain practices, we call it in human resources, that can reduce the shareholders' value if it is not effectively utilized. Because if it is not understood properly, and it can create a devastating effect in the organization, in the business. So we need to very judiciously assess, calibrate, and pick up what is available today. We have everything, but we should not jump and do it.
Understood. It has to be a mindful decision at the organization level as to how we are blending in the human connect with digital future. Because most of the times, I think the decision-making point becomes the cost-benefit analysis, and basis that the decision kind of weighs towards a digital-enabled process, or even for the learning and development part, or anything to do with HR. And that's where the human connect is missed out on.
I told you that if it is a safety critical example, because I give a lot of example, because from automotive, my stints, if something related to human safety and my technology is helping there to ensure that human safety, I will definitely utilize those kind of certain parts of in the car. You may not be knowing that every part 100% is X-rayed and the data is maintained. Any part which goes into steering, which any like which is related to the safety in the car or in any vehicle are very critically digitally scanned and checked actually, because is one single mistake is not affordable over there, and that is how the things are looked at. Like the inequality in organization. If you go to any automotive company or suppliers, tier ones, you find a lot of people do sorting. They check manually, check. There are machines you can buy. They are sorting machines, and you can buy those machines, and they're damn expensive first of all, and but you buy them and deploy them. But if you see that if there is a possibility of you have people here, first of all, you need not go to sort. Your process has to be robust enough. Even if you need to check, you can have a quality inspectors uh, adequately, and absolutely you can deploy those technology judiciously, not too much, too less. Again, I would like to re-emphasize the employment of people, and we need to keep that in mind. We have to generate employment, and that is very important, and I very strongly advocate that at any point of time we have to see that we have the human resources, we have the manpower as a country, we are blessed with. How can we utilize and create a sort of a the collective growth, rather than some people will be growing and some people may not have a job. So we need to find out a solution, the best utilization of technology, and not exaggerating too much, and see that it is making sense. That's why you will see many companies have very judiciously adopted the technology, and wherever it is possible, it is like instead of robots, some of the companies use cobots. Cobots are one which works together with human. It's very human friendly robots. It's called cobots. So if you go to assembly lines in some of the company, automotive support tier ones or tier two, you find cobots are working together with robots. Robots are you need to keep them in a sort of a confined place in a cage and all those stuff. It's completely different. It's for a heavy lifting and some kind of automation, but cobots are working together. So there's a human and cobot working together. So it is creating efficiency. You have to lift a part which is ergonomically not good for your your spinal cord example, and or your neck. So there the cobot is coming and picking it up and putting it to the next tray, helping, working faster, your cycle time increasing, you're getting better output. This kind of a thing is also very useful there. And this is what we have to think, that how we can best utilize the technology and still we create employment and ensure that this balance is there. Because the moment there is a disbalance, we have seen in many countries, too much of technology implementation led to some kind of a disruption, problems, and then you don't find people actually. Today, in some of the places, this is what is happening. Today, there is a shortage of skilled manpower, and today that is becoming a big problem in certain countries today, and that is what has not eroded the human resource capability, etc. And today they don't have. So we are very fortunate. We have to keep that in mind. This is my personal view, that this is what we have to have a very strong the balance with technology and human. Very, very important.
That's correct. What about? I'm very sure there are many stories that you have from experience of building in organization change. What would be relevant to the topic of today? An example, a story, something relevant to the audience of today, where they can take away from your experience as to what worked, what did not work, and then how did we go about it?
Yeah, so I think in order to really see, we are at the end of the day, since we are all, most of them, I assume that from human resource fraternity, we have to be a clear business partner. We have to understand the business. We need to really understand the pain. We need to understand the winds of change, what's coming up, what are the disruptions happening, accordingly become a very strong member of the strategic part of the organization, support the business, understand the my finer issues, and provide some kind of a intervention design to the business so that the human and the business connect happens very well. I keep on doing that, and I think that worked very well, and it helps actually the business. When the business support, human resource is very strongly embedded into the business. It cannot be separate. One point of time, uh, when I started my career, I used to probably have a thinking that yes, we have some standard, very our pride, like performance management and these and that, we have to do it. Today, slowly, when I transformed in my career, I realized what is the business need, work towards business need, understand what is that is required, and accordingly design your entire game plan and the blueprint of human resource plan and strategy. Today, we are in a company working for 2025 to 27 say, strategy, 24 to 26 strategy, example for 3 years. What is the ingredient? The ingredient is first there the what actually is the business situation, what is the environment we are going to operate in, what are the challenges we are going to face, and then what we need to do, what is coming in front of us as a result of these all things happening outside, the digital change and the ecological issues and geopolitical problems, and as a result of it, what is happening in India, and accordingly the strategy has to be framed. And I feel that we need to very strongly connect with the business, understand the business realities, and accordingly define the human resource strategy, which should be very strongly endorsed by the business, saying that yes, this is what is required. This is going to help us in achieving and even exceeding our business objectives. And that's what I think we need to do. At the same point of time, our approach has to be human approach. So whenever my strategy is prepared, one is human, another is human, and we have to have a human approach. I'm a very strong believer that until unless you are connecting with people and really ensuring, and you are actually advocating people, uh, okay, we are a business partner. At the end of the day, we also have a responsibility to represent also the employees, their concerns, their feelings, their emotions, their health, everything. Somewhere, this we should have the courage, we should have the ability to put together and embed into the business strategy and target somewhere. So at the end of the day, business organization definitely must have the profitable growth. But at the same point of time, the organization should not be looked at very high and dry. It has to be looked at as a very organization with having a lot of compassion, the lot of the inclusive approach, the support, caring. There we need to see that how much we are able to do, and constantly as a human resource we need to look at that side. Cannot be okay, I want to show my the margin increasing so much, and discussions are going to happen like that in the boardroom. But how you need to put together those points, saying that okay, we may lose 0.2% or 3% in our margin, but at the end of the day, the employee satisfaction and the overall engagement is going to help our company to be also sustainable. The sustainability is very important, and you must be knowing that today when we talk sustainability, of course we are talking environment, we are also talking about the social side of it. And this social side we need to keep in mind. And this is automatically came in. I'm not looking at ESG and then talking about this. I'm saying social is in the mind actually, and we have to keep that together with us constantly. When we work on any business strategy or anything, HR has to be vocal about this side and ensure that this is taken care of well in this strategy. Because in a short term, it might work. People might clap, oh, superb, this is, but in a long term, your organization, you must be compromising with the values of your organization. Then people will say this is what we were expecting from our human resources, that they need to actually really talk about, support on these topics. And I see that the organization I have worked previously, a lot of people talk about that. We really cherish that kind of a championing the people, advocating the people. That was something which I said, well, what you were, we miss that when people talk about that. That confirms that is a reinforcement of this belief that these are the things we need to. I personally feel that I need to continue, and I think that is something which makes a big difference at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, sir. So there are two quick questions, considering we have another approximately 10 minutes to go. We have Sony who's saying that thanks for all the inputs. I totally agree that in the VUCA world, HR2 needs to be ready to handle the change. However, in the manufacturing sector, do we really think even the industry 4.0 and so on, hybrid work culture or gig workers will be very much part of day-to-day work?
Yes, very good question. I think it is Sony, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, Sony, for asking this question. Yes, as I said, we need to definitely keep all these aspects in mind. Now, I said judicious use. I quote unquote that we have to be very carefully deploy this thing, not blindly accept everything, and try to see that when we talk about the technology, how much and what we are doing. I told you all that. You see that European context of Industry 4.0 and Indian context of Industry 4.0. I was a part of both, and both in a task force, and I've seen closely both in German Tech Center as well as in Indian setup. What is needed, we have to adopt. It is not because it is there, we have to just adapt and then show it to anybody. It will have a reverse impact on us. And I think in manufacturing sector or whichever you are, I think these things are going to come. These changes are absolutely unstoppable. And the hybrid work culture or gig workers, of course, they are there. They are going to stay, because we have when we are refreezing, we have freezed everything. During pandemic, we are sorry, unfreezing now, and in unfreezing mode, we are seeing that these things are working. We have a lot of unlearning actually in manufacturing, and we see that some of the things which we have never thought of, we are accepting now. But how much to accept, what to accept in hybrid work mode, etc., we need to see. How much is your flexible workforce you need to keep, and that is the name of the game. It's all about your business priority and that time, the realities of our environment in which we operate actually. Because we have to keep both things in mind, that the environment is A part, the B part is the organizational priority. As I said, we need to discuss with the business, and when you talk to business, then you realize that what need to be done, what is affordable, what the business may not be able to afford, and what is economically viable. So that is very important. Many times, like we hear that let's go and buy a company. It is very, sometimes people talk about inorganic growth. So some of the time, inorganic growth is not correct solution for the company to grow. Maybe organically you can grow better. Sometimes people feel that, okay, let's buy one company of certain crore, and then you grow up. The learning, what I had is sometimes it is counterproductive, because you may land up in more big trouble than you have today, because you buy somebody's trouble, and then you feel that I have grown up, but it's not. It's going to erode your this thing. So similarly, all these elements of Industry 4.0 or any changes which is coming in front of us, we have to very diligently examine the utilization from people perspective and organizational perspective, and in the context we have to study this, and not just picking up and then just as is basis deploy horizontally. Yeah. So that's why the human resource value comes in. That's why people pay for the human resource CHROs and the team and everyone. There we bring the value. We put our point. We study the organization. We actually tell and assess, do the diagnosis, and say that this works, that this doesn't work actually. And there is our value, and that is what I talked about. Machine can do all this, many of the things, but machine cannot do this kind of a decision making, this kind of a understanding of what is needed and not needed. It has to be just deployed wherever you need. Hope I
And that
understood.
kind of connects to the next question from Anil Kumar
Yeah.
Bhagat. He's asking about, by seeing the competitive environment, how much it is important for the top management of any organization to keep on reviewing the set of values of the organization from time to time.
Yeah. So very good question. First of all, Anil, this actually refreshed my morning discussion. So I was in another conference of a university, and I was speaking on culture, organizational culture, and transforming the culture. My topic of that particular conference. So what I talked, I think very easy for me to really immediately recap this one. See, today somebody asked similar question there as well, that when you need to revisit your culture. Okay. So when you need to revisit your culture is that depending on the realization you have as a organization, that, and you are talking about top management. Yes, top management is going to think about this, the leadership team in a global corporations or international company. But if it is a family run organization, maybe the promoters. Yeah. When they will think, tomorrow you are realizing that if you are in a current state, it's no good for you. You need to quickly do the transformation uh, from stage one to stage two, because your business is asking for that kind of a change. Because if you continue to behave like that, have a set of those kind of values and behaviors, you may not succeed in a long term. In one of the company, I'll just give you a little bit of an example. Um, One day our chairman came and said that we need to, when we were working on the organizational competency, he said, one competency I want in the company is called speed. I said, why speed? He said, I have traveled across the world and our target was, we were world number 5 and we wanted to be world number 3 in 4 years time, something that kind of a time frame has been set. Said, how it is possible? He said, I want this competency to be plugged into the organization, and I request the HR department to really synthesize this particular competency and write the dimensions about this. And I think I want this to be implemented in the organization, and people should be assessed where they are currently on this, because until unless that competence is there. So now when there is and why he said so, he said we cannot be world number 3 in terms of our turnover and business until unless we see that kind of a change and the sense of urgency in people. First of all, the speed is of course having that connotation, agility, and a slow organization. Then he said play to win culture. Many companies, one assignment I had where we were discussing, the company spoke about a problem statement of play to avoid losing culture, because everybody is comfortable today. You are the market leader, you have a fantastic business, and you are very comfortable. So you just ride the boat quietly, happily, and one day you will find that you are nowhere in the market, because there are people, there are competition, they are catching up faster and they will go ahead of you. So now that was the case. So what the desired culture we talked about, the culture of play to win culture, from the play to avoid losing. There is a concept called FED, future engaged delivered. In culture making, there's a book called Leadership is Plain and Simple. You may look at that book, written by Steve Ratcliffe, and the concept called FED, one of the very simple. There are hundreds of thousands leadership books are there, but this is very, very interesting. FED, Future Engaged Delivered by Steve Ratcliffe. And I'm certified in this concept, and we run a lot of workshops around that. So you engage people in the future. So if the top management do not foresee what is required and what are the changes coming up, and we are approaching, the organization might lose out on the competitive advantage, and suddenly it will land up in such a situation that then that time immediately turning around the organization will be impossible. So therefore, the top management has to continuously review the set values, whether that values are still relevant, what they want to do. If we talk about the energy for your entrepreneurship, in some company you'll see that in the organizational value system, they have entrepreneurial culture they want. If you have an entrepreneurial culture, if you want to have, and you do not see that, you do not see a ownership in your culture, then probably that it may not be a right organizational values you have in order to achieve your business objective. If you want to, if your business, your bread and butter of your organization is innovation, example, and you have to be you do value selling. You don't sell commodity, you sell value. Yeah, a company I work for, we don't sell commodity. We actually sell commodity, but we sell value, because when our customers buy, they're ready to give the premium. So if you need to do that, you cannot commoditize your product. You need to have an organization which is innovative, which people pay for your premium, for your innovation, for the value you add into their value business. And if that is the culture you want to build, and if you see, for an example, that those ingredients are not there, you need to immediately talk about that what need to be done, how you need to create a disruption in your organization, what are the changes you need to bring in, how you need to create a culture of challenging the status quo instead of yes man organization. And
that's a very big thing, sir. I really connected to what you just said. Challenging the status quo is one of the level 5 leadership dimensions of strategic orientation. Right. And I think we, in the last session, we also discussed about how we develop competencies like strategic orientation, and in that, how do we build the mindset of challenging status quo. So with that, we are a little ahead of time. If that's okay, we could pause the discussion here and maybe have a 2.0 to this discussion in the next session that you join us for, if that's okay.
Certainly, no problem. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and you have really, run the program very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Really honored to be a part of a session with such a senior and honored person. And thank you each one of you for joining in. The fact that you've not asked any question also gives us the understanding that there was so much to listen into. And in the process, there was so much of reflection that was happening. So every time I was listening to anything that he was saying, I was immediately connecting to the stage on which I'm working. And then what is happening in the background? What is happening in the foreground? How am I operating? And then what is he saying? He's talking about the digital space, and then he's talking about humaneness, which will work in the people side of work, because we've kind of discussed many and many times that we are in the business of people, and that's where we make a difference. So with that, I would request everyone to switch on your camera for our group photograph. So Vasudev goes first. We have Anil. Thank you, Anil, for the intelligent question you asked. Samarpita, thank you for joining in. Rajiv, Debujyoti, Debapi, Jhumna, and we have our chapter manager, Sweata, my namesake. Who else is joining in? Okay, so with that, let us switch on our cameras. Another 3 seconds and we'll click a picture with Dr. Ujjal Bhattacharjee, our esteemed guest for today's HR Speak. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening and a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us an hour of enlightenment into the world of future of HR in terms of work and workforce. Have a
Thank
great
you very
evening,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Take
Wonderful
care.
audience as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for your
Thank you
time.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Thanks. Bye-bye.